Welcome to Thriller Recaps. Today, I am explaining the movie, Late Night with the Devil, explaining every scene as it happens. Watch till the end, and please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this. The movie begins by talking about how The Night Owls started airing in 1971 with Jack Delroy as the host. It gained popularity for its comedy and sizzling night show package, but was always just behind The Tonight Show, hosted by Johnny Carson. Jack coveted being at the top of the ratings. His wife, Madeline, was his support and confidant. They were the perfect couple. Jack also had rumored connections to an elite occult group called The Grove, though this was only speculation. In 1976, Madeline, a non-smoker, was diagnosed with lung cancer. She appeared on the show and talked about how her relationship with Jack began. The interview garnered one of the Night Owl's highest ratings, but still did not surpass Carson's show. 2 weeks later, Madeline passed away. Jack shunned the media and went into hiding, returning after a month. By then, the gap between Carson and Jack had widened, and the Night Owl's ratings were dropping, making investors nervous. Jack and his producer tried everything to avoid controversy, but nothing worked. Jack knew that people only remembered kings. During Halloween of 1977, it was sweep week, and Jack's contract with UBC was about to expire. The investors were getting weary. They planned a show called Late Night with the Devil, and the video showed some disturbing behind-the-scenes footage of what went down that day. Jack came on the show, made his usual jokes, and talked about how he hoped that night's show would be a success. Jack further added that the viewers were more important than anything because they were the ones who gave him a chance to stand on that stage. The first guest on the show was a spiritualist named Christu. Christu talked about how important Halloween was in his line of work because it was the time when spirits attended to unfinished business before moving on. Jack asked if Christu could pick up the frequencies of spirits, and Christu affirmed it. The first frequency Christu got was wrong, but when he tried again, he spoke to a mother and daughter about their son and brother, who had killed themselves without leaving any notes. They had thought he was a happy boy but didn't know he was in a lot of pain. Christu told them about the spirit of the son, and wanted them to be happy and move on. They were about to go on a commercial break when Christu suddenly screamed in pain. He was picking up a frequency from a spirit named Minnie. He saw an unmarried man with a ring. Nobody accepted knowing Minnie, even though Christu screamed for someone to accept to stop the pain. The show's lights blew out, and Christu stopped feeling the pain as the spirit was gone. They went on a break, and Jack spoke to a spook-looking Christu, praising him for doing an awesome job on the show. Jack's producer, Leo, also thanked Christu for a wonderful show, believing he had given his all. However, Christu seemed out of it. His nose even bled slightly, and he snapped at the makeup artist. The show returned, and a new guest joined Jack and Christu. His name was Carmichael Haig, a former trickster magician who had turned towards more philanthropic efforts. He was now part of an organization called ISIP, which scientifically investigated paranormal activity. Carmichael even offered a reward for anyone who could prove their claims of paranormal abilities, though he hadn't paid out to anyone yet. Christu muttered that he didn't need Carmichael's money. Carmichael further suggested that Christu might have been making guesses with the story of the son who committed suicide. This angered Christu, who wanted to leave, but Jack intervened. Jack suggested that the last spirit frequency Christu picked might have been meant for him. Minnie was the name Jack called Madeline in private, and he still wore his wedding ring. Carmichael dismissed Jack's suggestion, but Christu was unsettled and wanted to understand what was happening. Suddenly, Christu fell to the floor, and black liquid poured out of his mouth in a disturbing amount. The cameras quickly cut to a break as they scrambled to find help for Christu. During the break, Carmichael approached Jack, suggesting that Christu may have been guessing or that Jack had instructed him to stir up controversy for ratings. Carmichael also expressed interest in joining The Grove. But Jack ignored him and went to meet Leo. The show returned, and Carmichael still thought Christu was acting, suggesting that the black liquid was just a regurgitation trick some people did. But Jack stated that he was certain Carmichael would still have to give out his check before the night was over. Jack began by discussing a manuscript he had received a month ago, a book titled Conversation with the Devil, by a side doctor named June, about a girl named Lily. According to the book, there was a church where the leader made his followers do terrible things, and he was involved in kidnappings and killings. When the FBI tried to arrest him, the leader ordered everyone to be burned with gasoline, but a girl named Lily surprisingly survived. Lily had unusual insights, so Dr. June's Psi Corporation was consulted. Dr. June and Lily came on stage. Lily acted a bit strangely, but she was also quite adorable. She talked about how Dr. June had called Jack handsome and that Madeline's death was something she could relate to and that it would pass too. They went to a commercial break where something changed in Lily's voice, but she returned as if nothing had happened. Dr. June told Jack that she wasn't sure about continuing. Lily was behaving differently, and a few days ago, she had been repeatedly calling Jack's name, as if recalling something. Jack tried to reassure June that being weird was what they wanted for the show to peak. Leo came to Jack, asking if Lily was having cold feet, but Jack assured him that he was going to fix everything. Leo informed him that Krista was dead, apparently spouting from everywhere, and the paramedics couldn't do anything. Jack suggested that they keep this a secret, especially from his overzealous assistant host, Gus, but Leo wasn't sure how long the news would take to spread. Carmichael was questioning the mother-daughter duo that Krista had talked about when they returned from the break. June talked about how she had a PhD in parapsychology, but Carmichael interrupted her. Lily spoke about how her demon's name was Mr. Wriggles because he wriggled his way in and out of her life. A loud instrument that Gus had played at the beginning of the show started playing on its own, and some glass broke, scaring everyone. Carmichael unplugged the speakers, saying it was just a PR stunt, but Lily insisted it was Mr. Wriggles. Jack suggested bringing Mr. Wriggles onto the show if he was Lily. June wasn't okay with it, but Lily was, so June reluctantly agreed, angry that Jack hadn't listened. They went on another break. Gus approached Jack about stopping the show, having heard about Krista, and things looked like they were about to go haywire. But Jack didn't care. He wanted to save the show. Gus mentioned how scared the crew were and that they were thinking of leaving the set, but Jack snapped that no one should do that and that they should stay put. They returned on camera, where Lily and June were about to conduct the ritual. June said Lily was the only door the demon could pass through. June also added that she was just a key to that door and that whatever happened, everyone should remain calm. June ordered Lily to sleep, and when she did, June called out to her. Shockingly, Lily started speaking in a weird voice. Lily asked if Jack was here and turned to him. Jack nervously laughed, unsure if they knew each other, but Lily said they had met in the tall trees and gone back. June tried to interfere, but Lily continued, saying that June had to remember what happened to Jack's last woman, Minnie. She died, and the worms were eating her up, and now he could be with anyone he liked, like Dr. June. June slapped her, and Lily's voice changed back to its usual tone, but when June moved closer, it was a decoy, and the spirit was still intact. June held out her evil eye necklace and said some strange words, but Lily recited them after her like it was nothing. Lily's chair levitated, but she screamed, and it came back down. It seemed like the usual Lily was back, so they helped her out of the strapped chair. Carmichael wanted to describe the tricks used, but Jack cut him off, going to a commercial break. June asked Jack what Lily had meant by tall trees, but Jack feigned ignorance. Gus spoke to Leo to stop the show because it was now like sorcery, but Leo didn't want to hear it. Gus told Carmichael on his way out about Krista's death, and it shocked him too. Leo told Jack about the progress of the show. It was skyrocketing, probably the first of its kind since the moon landing, but 3 of the crew had left. Jack expressed his worry that Lily's tone somehow sounded like Minnie, but Leo told him to cut it out because if Minnie were here, she would be telling him to do a great job. They returned to the set, and Jack apologized to the audience. He also asked Lily if she remembered what happened. Lily responded that it was hard to explain, like she was asleep and awake at the same time. Carmichael was given the stage to explain what happened. He started by expressing concern about Lily's mental health. Dr. June screamed at him, saying that Lily was her family now and they had been through so much together. Jack added that Carmichael was a weasel who didn't want to give out the check he promised. Carmichael argued that they were all hypnotized, and he was going to prove it. He used Gus as a volunteer and showed him his pendulum watch. Carmichael asked everyone, including Jack, to pay attention to the watch. Carmichael asked Gus about his fear of worms, and Gus responded. Soon after, Gus started removing his clothes because he felt hot, and shortly after that, worms began coming out of his neck and pouring out of his stomach, with his eyes bulging. Carmichael snapped his fingers to wake him back up, and everything returned to normal. Carmichael explained that he had hypnotized most of the audience, and even some viewers, just like June might have done. Jack asked for the videotape from when Carmichael played his trick to be shown. When the tape was shown, it was just as Carmichael said. There were no worms or anything. Lily said if he thought it was all hypnosis, then their videotape from when she was possessed should be shown. June didn't want that, but Lily pleaded. When it was shown, it turned out that Lily was indeed possessed. Jack asked for the clip to be shown in slow motion. It revealed that Madeline's spirit was standing there at the time. Carmichael continued throwing accusations, claiming that Jack had set everything up with props and lights and that Christu, June, and Lily were all actors. Suddenly, Lily screamed, and it seemed like lights were shooting out of her. Her head even appeared to split in two. Gus brought out his cross to exorcise her, but was killed first. June reached for her cross, but was also killed. Carmichael talked about believing in God if he got through all of this, but his skin was burned until only his bones remained. The audience had all run out. Leo tried to pull Jack away, but he found himself in a different time, moving from one memory to another. He reached the day he had signed his contract with UBC. After signing, he was escorted by two ghostly figures dressed in robes. It seemed like all the members of his elite club were there. He found himself in front of Madeline's bed, where she was taking her last breaths. She told him that they had promised to make him number one, and they did it, with the only sacrifice being her. She said they owned his soul? Jack cried, saying he had no idea. Madeline said it was too late, and asked him to end her suffering. With shaky hands, he stabbed her in the stomach with a knife. When he opened his eyes, he realized he was back at the studio in the present. He had killed Lily, Gus, June, and Carmichael. They were all dead. The movie ends with Jack hoping it was all hypnosis, with police sirens heard from outside. Subscribe for more daily videos. Your support, likes, shares, and subscriptions mean a lot. See you in the next video.